love the Victorian era art style of Shadow's house, as well as its very intriguing story. And it has some pretty good pastries. Those will be the topic of today's video. I'll be making a Victoria cake as well as the soot coffee. A Victoria cake is 2 layers of a buttery sponge cake with a raspberry filling in the middle, usually some whipped cream, but since it wasn't shown in the show, I'm omitting that. And then a dusting of powdered sugar, which depending what you lay over the cake before you dust it, you can make some really intricate designs. I'm excited to share this recipe with you, so let's get right to it. Sift into a bowl 2 cups of flour, and then half a teaspoon sea salt, 3/4 teaspoon baking soda, and 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Push all the clumps through your sieve and give this a mix. Then we'll move on to our wet ingredients. For this, take 10 ounces of softened butter. I like to use salted and grass-fed. Add 1 cup of sugar to this and cream it using a stand mixer. Once it's soft and fluffy, add in 4 room temperature eggs, one at a time, making sure they incorporate thoroughly before the next one is added. Between eggs, you'll also want to scrape down the sides of the bowl and the paddle attachment that you're using. That way everything gets mixed well and there's no clumps of anything. And to flavor the cake, you're going to want to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients and let these mix, but only enough so that they stick together. Don't let this overmix, otherwise your cake will turn out chewy and not as soft. Generously butter 2 9-inch baking pans, then divide the batter between these and spread it out so that it's smooth. You'll notice that the batter is not very runny, and a matter of fact it's pretty thick, but that's okay, it'll turn out just fine. Place your pans in a 350-degree oven and let them bake for around 22 minutes or until they're nice and golden brown, and when poked in the center, your toothpick or knife comes out clean. After these go in the oven, we can take this time to prep out a few of our other ingredients, starting with the rose simple syrup. Take 1 cup of sugar and half a cup of water and add these to a saucepan, as well as a handful of dried rose petals. Give this a good mix. Let this dissolve and then simmer until it is a nice syrupy consistency. At that point, let it cool down and we'll get our raspberry jam. I would have made my own raspberry jam, but I don't have any raspberry bushes of my own, and to buy them at this time of year is really not cost effective, so it was a lot cheaper to just buy the jam. This is optional, but I highly recommend adding a handful of dried raspberries into your jam. That way on the cake it will have a nice bite at points and won't just all be the same consistency. Once your cakes have finished baking, take them out and allow them to cool down just a little bit. And then you should be able to effortlessly pop them out of their pans, at which point we can work on assembling the cake. So take your first cake and flip it upside down onto a plate. Take your rose syrup and brush your cake with it. You just want enough to flavor the cake, but not too much where it'll get soggy. At this point, take your raspberry jam and spread that across it. Then take your other cake and put it right side up on top. Also brush the top of the cake with some rose syrup. That way the powdered sugar will stick. But before we sprinkle the powdered sugar on, lay down strips of parchment paper across the top in a nice crisscross pattern, and then dust the top with powdered sugar. That'll leave a beautiful design. Once you've done that, you can pull the parchment off, and then we're ready to serve it. But let's not forget the coffee. So to make the coffee, it's really simple. Just take about a 1/4 teaspoon of instant coffee, then add your activated charcoal, and also about a 1/4 teaspoon of this. If you are on medication, caution when using this. It can throw off certain medications, so just make sure you do your research into if you can have activated charcoal or not. Add hot water to this, and then stir it in. And there's your coffee. Now we can slice up our cake and enjoy it. But first of all, I want to thank you so much for finding and watching this video. It really makes my day to see people enjoy my content. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and share, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. And just as a heads up, I don't plan on stopping making the pastries from the rest of Shadow's house, so stay tuned for those. The cake is absolutely amazing. It's just a nice sponge. It's not too airy, it has a little bit of a bite from all the butter that's in it, and then the raspberry jam is just really flavorful. The rose syrup brings things together, and it's just a really, really good cake. And I wouldn't trade it for a cake covered in frosting. And the coffee is really, really good too. It may take you a little while to get used to it, but after a few times of drinking it, I've really grown to like the flavor of the charcoal. I hope I've given you inspiration to make this cake yourself, and it's so easy that you don't have to have any baking experience to pull this thing off. So I hope you can make it, have a wonderful tea time with your friends, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. But for now, bye bye.